Hey everybody, this is our last worksheet that we're going to do on the mole. And it's not an ed puzzle, it's it's just a YouTube video, and we're just going to work it from here, and then you're going to show me your work and your answers and turn in pictures of that handwritten from notebook paper. Then at the end, I'm going to show you a couple of other problems dealing with the mole, and that'll be that. So here we go. All right, first thing we're going to start off simple. Uh, 15 grams of sodium chloride. How many moles is that? All right. Next problem. 1.9 times 10 to the 22nd atoms of titanium is how many moles? So those are simple problems. Those are some one-step problems right there. Let's do a couple of other one-step problems. 2 grams of calcium carbonate is equal to how many moles? And 9.4 times 10 to the 24th molecules of water is equal to how many moles? All right. So all those are one-step problems. So now we're going to do some two-step problems. How about 7.5 times 10 to the 24th molecules of oxygen would weigh how many grams? See, now this is a two-step problem. All right. How about 173 grams of sodium sulfite would be equal to how many compounds of sodium sulfite? I can't say molecules because this is an ionic compound. It's not a molecule. All right. So these are two-step problems. 200 grams of water would be equal to how many molecules of water in that cup? All right. 3.4 times 10 to the 23rd molecules of methane would weigh how many grams? All right. And getting near the bottom here. 1.21 times 10 to the 21st, excuse me, that's a 1 there, times 10 to the 21st, molecules of propane would weigh how many grams? All right, so those are some problems for you to work and turn into me. Now we're going to learn something new. We're going to look at something new. Let's say we had 2 moles of water. All right. And let's draw a picture of water. Water looks like this. It's a bent molecule. It's got 2 unbound pairs. It's polar. We know all these things. Now, if you had 2 moles of water, let me ask you a simple question. How many atoms of hydrogen are there? So if you had 2 moles of water, how many atoms of hydrogen? Well, 2 moles of water. So you have 2 moles. And there are 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules of water in every mole. And on every one of these, how many hydrogens are there? 2. So how many atoms of hydrogen are in 2 moles of water? You'd end up with 2 times 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd times 2 again. So it would give you 2.4 times 10 to the 24th if you do that on a calculator. Does that make sense? Now what this is like, we're having to think about individual pieces on there. Like let's say we're talking about bicycles, okay? And this is a really bad bicycle. All right. There. All right. So let's say we got bicycles. If we have a dozen bicycles, if you have a dozen bicycles, then guess what? How many wheels do you have? You have 2 dozen wheels. You have 2 dozen pedals. Because there's 2 pedals and 2 wheels on each bike. You'd have 1 dozen seats and 1 dozen sets of handlebars. But you'd have 2 dozen pedals and 2 dozen wheels. And this is common sense. Like if you have 12 bikes at your house, then you have 24 bike wheels at your house, right? So this is the same thing we're doing here. They have 2 moles of water. How many atoms of hydrogen are there? Well, you have 2 moles. So you have twice of this 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And on every one of those, there's 2 atoms of hydrogen. So now that we've gone over that, I feel like we've gone over that pretty slowly. I have a question for you. There are 3.4 moles of calcium carbonate. All right. How many atoms of calcium do you have? And then I'll ask you, how many atoms of oxygen do you have? All right, so try to work that out. Replay the video if you're missing something here, okay? All right, now another thing we can do is we can say, this would be the hardest straight up mole problem we could do. Let me show you something. Let's say we have 1.5 times 10 to the 24th molecules of, how about we do methane again? All right. 1.5 times 10 to the 24th molecules of methane. Okay. How many grams of hydrogen do you have? So I'm not asking you how much this whole thing weighs. I'm asking you only how much the hydrogen would weigh. Now there's 2 ways we could do this. One, you could just say we have 1.5 times 10 to the 24th molecules of methane. So you'd say, okay, we have 1.5 times 10 to the 24th of molecules of CH4. All right. So we would take this number, 1.5 times 10 to the 24th, and to find out how many atoms of hydrogen we have, we would multiply that times 4, because there's 4 hydrogen atoms on every one of these. So if we multiply that times 4, that would give us 6.0 times 10 to the 24th. So that's how many atoms of hydrogen you have. But I said, how much does the hydrogen weigh? You could say, well, we have this many atoms of hydrogen. How many moles is that? So if we wanted to figure out 6.0 times 10 to the 24th times 1 over 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd gives you almost exactly 10. 10 moles. Right? So you have 10 moles of hydrogen. And hydrogen weighs 1 gram per mole. Right? So 10 times 1 equals, you'd have about 10 grams of hydrogen. Sorry, I went off the bottom there. You'd have about 10 grams of hydrogen if you had 1.5 times 10 to the 24th molecules of methane. So let's keep rolling with this, and let me ask you one to solve on your own. And you should have been working with me the whole time here, but we'll see. Let's say you have, this is our last one, 7.5 times 10 to the 24th compounds of calcium carbonate again. How many grams of carbon do you have? Of calcium do you have? How many grams of carbon do you have? And lastly, how many grams of oxygen do you have? All right. And that's that. And peace out.